Hello! Welcome to my university art showcase, a video I've had in the works for a very long time, and I believe I've even hinted about in other videos? Maybe? Question mark? In my first year of university, I took 2 art classes. I had a studio art minor to go along with my marketing major, so I took an introduction to drawing class during my first semester, and I took the infamous, as you will soon learn, 3D art and design class during my second semester. Because studio art was my minor, I only needed to take 1 class per semester to get the requirements to earn it, so that's why I only took the 2 classes. Alluding to that, shortly after my first year ended, I dropped my studio art minor, both due to the job market and due to this 3D art class. To get it out of the way, I developed a terrible relationship with my art during that class, and I barely made anything for myself in multiple ways. Outside of class, I hardly made any art or drawings. The course was laid out so that we'd have 4 projects to complete over the semester, and I got a bad grade, by my standards, on the first one. No big deal, 3 others, grade was okay. And then I almost failed the second one. Like, she genuinely almost failed me on the assignment. Keep in mind, I followed the requirements. It's not like I made something that was completely different than what was expected. My professor just didn't like my ideas or executions. I don't know if I was the only student who experienced this, but I know she did definitely have like a bit of bias towards the guys in my class. So, following those experiences, I made projects for her. All of the ideas that she came up with or suggestions she had, I would do. Because she obviously didn't like mine, so I took her input on everything. And so, even though I made it, it doesn't really feel like it was mine. I had a much better experience with my drawing class, and it is still something I look back on with high regard, but I'll talk about that when the section arrives. For now, let's get into the art. So this was my intro to drawing class. This was a traditional art class with a focus on still life drawings. You can see all of the drawings I made for this class pass by on the screen right now. I won't go into depth about any of them, but there are definitely a few that really stand out to me that I really like, and I hope that one point in the future when I have a place of my own, I can kind of display them, because I don't feel that confident about my art all too often, but these I really liked. I never expected to enjoy still life drawing, because prior to this, my experience was really only with, people. People in anime. But it is one of my favorite classes that I've taken, at university so far. For this class, everything we drew was a full still life, or part of it. My professor had a little cart that he would rotate around each class, and so every class would be drawing something new unless we were specifically working on a project for multiple days. And we did do a bit of perspective drawing as well, but that wasn't very long. In terms of materials, we used charcoal sticks and pencils for drawing, all of them from I think 6H to 6B is the range we used. And for paper, we used drawing paper, literally called drawing paper, and newsprint in the size 18 by 24, so big pieces to haul around campus. Some of my art has dates on it, and some of the drawings just have details written on them. These are mostly notes for myself, because I really like knowing when I made stuff. Overall, I really enjoyed this class, and I would love to revisit still life drawings and big charcoal drawings for a video or just in my free time. Especially just the still life, very quick 60 seconds to make something type of pieces, because the first ones that appeared in the little slideshow, those ones were my favorite. Recently I have been wanting to get into bigger drawings than just my 8x8 sketchbook size as well. And with that, on to 3D art and design, which I do have more to say about, mostly because we will be transitioning into desk mode, but there was also they were all projects, so there was a lot more to showcase, and unfortunately I just don't have the setup to go into detail about every drawing I did for my drawing class. this will be slotted in on the video, but right now I'm doing a tour of my first year at university, all the art stuff I created. So this segment was better suited for desk mode. So this is my sketchbook from my second semester where I was doing a 3D art class, which you'll see what I created right after this. So starting off, very blank, 8.5 by 11 sketchbook, and I drew this on the first page. I really don't like it. At this point in time, I thought I would continue doing art in the university sense. I obviously am still doing art. This is the class that made me drop that. Full disclosure. I did not like this 3D art class. It was required. The teacher, she hated me. I don't know what else to say. I can't imagine the way she treated me being just how she treats students. So, this book ended at the end of that semester, so in April-ish. But starting off with our first project, it was called Skin and Bones, which I do have a video on. I didn't really film. I took pictures of like this entire process. I have scans of these pages. I took pictures of the step-by-step. Like I did everything for this project. I like documented everything. So I will have at some point a video of this first project and none of the other projects. So if you'd like a more in-depth version of this project, definitely subscribe and stay tuned. I don't know when exactly it'll be out, but I do finally have the B-roll footage I needed because it will be voiceover with pictures overlaid because obviously I didn't film anything. But anyway, I don't know how much I want to explain since I know that video will be coming out relatively soon-ish. So I guess I'll just give an overview. For this project, we had to create a biomorphic lantern based on sea life. When I started sketching, I didn't realize it was going to be sea life. So obviously I have these two random spiders in here. And I thought doing something with the abdomen would be really cool. But obviously I scrapped that pretty quickly because I knew that it would be sea life. And so I didn't want to start off badly. So then I drew koi fish, jellyfish, and I played more around with the shapes of how I could actually create a lantern since these were just pictures of animals. And then this is anything in a box is just a person who inspired me, and something I saw sparked interest to me. I had to create 3 pages of sketches for each project as well as a mood board, and I will be probably overlaying them somehow and so you guys can see them. So next, since I didn't really like where these were going, I just started drawing. So this first stuff is what did I think of when I thought of lantern? I thought of the lanterns from Tangled, and then I thought of those iconic Chinese lanterns, and then I started drawing sea creatures. And right around the seahorse mark, which was like one of the first things I drew, and then the sea dragon, I felt like it kind of clicked that was what I wanted to draw. Then I started isolating what I really liked about him, and so I liked the seahorse tail, and then I liked the little foliage on the sea dragon, and so these were some of the initial concepts I came up with, and I numbered them because I think that's the order I drew them in. Not entirely sure, this was almost a year ago. And then I ran with those ideas and made a whole plan of them, listing out what steps I would do and then what kind of shapes I was breaking it down into. And then this was the final sketch, so to speak. And then I had to make a clay mock-up, which is what that was. And then as I started getting into the process of creating it, I needed more measurements and stuff, and I wanted to include a signature in there somewhere, so I had to make that out of reed. And then this was more checklist stuff, this was more planning stuff, looking more into details. On to project 2. This project was about negative space, and so we had to create, like, it's not the arm, like if this is my arm, we're not creating a recreation of my arm, we're doing all of this air around my arm, and that's what we were creating. And I really liked the idea doing something with my partner, and so that was the very first thing I came up with, is something kind of like this with like a pinkies touching, and then everything else would be negative space. So that's what these drawings are, kind of how close, how do I want the connection to be, that sort of thing. And then here were my hands, because when I was in class, I obviously didn't have my boyfriend with me, so these are my hands, and this is the shape I ended up with, fill the negative space between my two hands. And then then I had to do a presentation in the class, so here were my presentation notes, and I guess that's all I did for project 2. Then here was project 3, which we had to deal with space, and so I had dominant, subdominant, and subordinate shapes, sizes, not space. And so I was really uninspired with this picture. I don't like that, or with this project. I don't like really doing stuff with cubes. It was really boring. And so this is kind of what the sketches I ended up with. These are kind of the shapes I ended up with, and then the ones with stars are the ones I liked, and these are the ones I ended up going with. I ended up going with this one, and then I just drew it from different angles so I knew what it would look like, and then I did end up mixing it up a bit when I actually came to that one. And then this was my roommate's idea, with kind of interlocking pieces, but I still went with that one. There's different shapes because I wasn't sure if I was committed, plus I needed to fill another page after this, so then I moved on to more ideas, and then I saw this one, and this one is more like what I chose, and then I drew it from the top. What could I do with just overlapping shapes? So this one I drew it from the top, and then just more shapes. I was trying to fill a page. And then notes on workshop safety. Moving on. Actual measurements and stuff for how I wanted to actually make the piece, because I was using wood, and so these are the dimensions of the board I was using. And so then I started cutting it up because I wanted to scale everything so that I used most of the board while also making sure that I had enough volume for everything. And so more kind of playing with stuff, playing with pieces, how many pieces I needed, what size of each of the pieces I needed, more ideas, more planning, listing out what I needed to do with each of them so that I could actually get the project done in time. And then this last one was, this is kind of what my finished piece looked like. So then I needed to play with texture, and I think all of these ideas were really cool. However, I hated this project and I hated this class, and so I kind of did not do much of this. I did add texture, but it was not nearly as intricate or exciting as this stuff, and so I did not really go this elaborate. And then I did have a fourth project. However, I did it in my personal sketchbook because I was really excited about this one. This is the one project out of all 4 of them in the class that I actually like. And I actually have the sketchbook right here. I just have to find the pages. Okay, I flipped right to one of them. Okay, so we had to create a felt monster based on an emotion. So I started with love and lust because I thought that could be kind of interesting to work with, and then hate/loathe. I was not inspired by these. I ended up choosing something different, but again, I needed to fill 3 pages. So I moved on, and this is what I chose. I chose anxiety. I am someone who has anxiety. I have very bad anxiety, so this one was very personal to me, and it kind of makes me feel like a joke, or like it's kind of like amusing to other people. So I created my monster based on a jester, especially since I had never done anything like that before. So I started with gestures, and then I started with posing, and kept going in with other stuff and other details, and I was just trying to figure out what I would want. And so this is the spread I ended up being inspired by. I went with colors, and I went with this Harlequin jester look, and I actually liked how this project turned out. That's it for my sketches, and so let me show you my finished projects. Now I know what you're probably thinking. What is this, and where is the project 1? Project 1 fell apart while I was moving home from my dorm at university, to the point where I could not fix it, and therefore just threw it away. I do have pictures of it, so I will insert at least one into the video, and then if you want to see more about it, like I mentioned, please check out the Skin and Bones episode, because it'll have like all the pictures that you could ever want. And then project 2, I got a basically failing grade on it, even though I followed almost all the rules. Like, I don't think it was 100% worthy, but like definitely not barely passing worthy. And so I threw it away when I got home. I hated looking at it. I hated everything about it. I hated the project. I hated the professor. I hated everything. I was very negative about it, and I didn't even take a picture of it. So I have no evidence of the second project, but I did finish it and I tossed it. So project 1 and 2 are not with us. Project 3 is this, which I also wanted to get rid of, but my mom ended up keeping it. So here's a bit of that texture I mentioned, as well as here, and then here as well. This is how it goes. So it goes like this, and stands up like this. we had to stain it, so that's what the blue is. And then my parents and siblings made everything infinitely better with this project by saying it looks like a Star Wars ship, so now I don't hate it nearly as much. And I did get a good grade on it, mostly because I followed everything she told me to an exact T, to the point where I didn't even really do anything. I didn't put myself into this project, is what I'm saying. In order to get a good grade, I bended to every woman's suggestion, she said, because I couldn't afford to get another bad grade. We only had 4 projects. And so this is what we've ended up with. Too bad, but not great either. Even though she was helping me with this basically every step of the way, I still had problems. And then she blamed me for them. And I was like, ma'am, that was your fault. But anyway, moving on. The moment you've all been waiting for. My project number. So I ended up with this little guy. And I had to utilize stuff other than felt. So that's what these little beads are. That's why there are these little wire limbs. That sort of thing. So this is my anxiety monster. Well, not inherently scary. Not many people in the class actually had scary ones, but I am actually pretty proud of this one. It doesn't stand up on its own, but I still really like it. It was my first time ever using felt, so I got it as tight as I could, but I still didn't get as tight as I could have, I guess. And so this is how it turned out, and I am very happy with it. He sits in my room. But that's it from semester 2, and that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed looking at the artwork I created in my first year of university as an art student-ish. It was in fact my minor, so I don't know if I'm really considered an art student, but thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. All my links and everything are in the description, and I will see you in the next video. There's cat hair in here. How?